Omega Furniture Manufacturing Limited produces wooden office desks. The company uses different labor remuneration systems to motivate workers and improve productivity in its production department. Two workers, A and B, were involved in the production during March 2026. The company wants to compare the cost of labor under time-based pay and piecework systems. The following information relates to the workers. Okay, so you have worker A, standard working hours per week, 40 hours. Hourly wage, $12. Overtime rate, 1.5 times the normal hourly rate. Hours worked during the week, normal hours, 40 hours. Overtime hours, 8 hours. Worker B is paid based on the number of desks produced. Piece rate per desk, $6. Standard production per week, 100 desks. Actual production for the week, 130 desks. The company offers a bonus of $1 per unit for every unit produced above the standard output. Okay. I believe this is the one the Chinese use mostly. All right. Number one, calculate the total weekly earnings of worker A under the time-based system, including overtime pay. Yes. How do we calculate this, colleagues? Before I give my answer, because remember we've done this before. Okay, I just want to see if people remember. How do we calculate the how much worker A has to be paid? And if you miscalculate what worker A has to be paid, you get fired from the company. Worker A will visit you personally. Okay, colleagues. Personally visiting you for paying him less. If you pay him more, he might actually thank you. Okay, but now you have a problem with the company because you've paid him more. Yes, colleagues, how do we find this before I spoon feed the answer? Yes, yes. Okay, we have to calculate first the normal pay or the basic pay, all right, where it's the normal hours multiplied by the wage rate. Okay, the normal hours, 40 hours, normal wage rate, $12. So 40 times 12, $480. Okay. Then we have to calculate the overall overtime pay. Okay. So the overtime premium is also included in here. You're not calculating it separate. Okay. Yes. So it's your overtime hours multiplied by the wage rate multiplied by 1.5. Okay. This 1.5 which was given here. Not sir, where is it coming from? This overtime rate, 1.5, the normal rate. Okay, so 8 times 12 times 1.5, you get $144. Okay, so 480 plus $144, we get $624. Okay, yes. Any questions before I'm about to pose one question, but any questions before I pose my question? Okay. What if we were asked to calculate the overtime premium? How would we get the overtime premium? Because remember, the overtime pay, it includes the premium and the normal pay for the overtime hours. Okay. Now, what if you're asking the question, tabulate the overtime premium? How would we get that, colleagues? Mr. Nelson, since you spearheaded that day, okay, and you even told us your overtime premium, which is a nice overtime premium. Okay, I actually wanted to start working where you work after you told me your premium. Okay, I start putting in overtime hours so that I get that premium. Ah, no, 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 no. Okay, colleagues, have you seen this overtime rate? This 1.5, right? The premium is represented by the zero point 0.5. Okay, this is how you get the premium, colleagues. Okay, yes. So this overtime pay, you just split it into two. Okay, first you get the overtime at the normal rate, which is just the overtime hours times the normal rate. Okay, you worked 8 hours times 12, you get 96. Then the overtime premium is the overtime hours multiplied by the normal rate multiplied by zero point 0.5. Okay, have you noticed here the difference between these two here? The premium is the zero point 0.5, the 1.5 is the overall overtime pay. Okay, yes. So 8 times 12 multiplied by zero point 0.5, you get 48. Okay, so when you add 480 plus 96 plus thing plus 96 plus 48, you get 624. This is not part of the question, it's just for your general knowledge. Okay, in the question you don't have to do it. Once you've done this, you've already solved that part there. Okay, it's just that in a situation where you are asked to get the premium, when you're asked to get the premium, then just know that the overall overtime pay, you're splitting it into the overtime times the normal rate. Okay, then the overtime times the normal rate times that zero point 0.5, which is the premium, the extra. Yes. The overall, yes, the overall is 1.5. And the premium is zero point 0.5. No, it's the extra. It's just the extra. Let's not say it less. No, let's just say it's the extra. Oh, okay, if you put it in that terms, yes, this premium, this zero point 0.5 is less than this overall. See? No, yes, this zero point 0.5, all right, this 48 plus 96 will give you this total overall pay of 144. Yes, so think of the premium as the extra. Okay, it is the extra. All right, because remember he worked 48 hours. All right, so those 8 hours, those extra 8 hours, it needs to be paid this $12, the normal rate. But then again, since these 8 hours are overtime, we need to add in an extra. That is the premium. Is that okay, Mr. Kasono? Yes, Mr. Twambo? Yes. Mm, mm. Oh, yes, yes. I was solving these yesterday, so I think I'm almost done. So I should send after this class. Yes. Okay. Oh, colleagues, Nona said good night back to Mr. Twambo. He also said good night back. I was about to say it, but I was waiting for the others to start. No, good night, good night, good night. Then I say afterwards. Okay. Now we're going to work a B. All right. Um, yes, we've told piece rate per disc $6. Standard production per week 100 discs. Actual production for the week 130 discs. So we have to find out, and there's a bonus of $1 for every disc produced. So we have to find out the total earnings of worker B. Okay, so also this one very easy. Okay, is basic work pay actual production times the piece rate. All right, he produced $130. All right, times $6 per disc. Well, he produced 130 discs at $6 per disc, so $780. Okay. Then remember his excess. Remember the standard production is 100, but he produced 130. So he produced a 30 extra discs. Okay. So for these extra discs, he's getting a bonus of $1. Okay. So the excess production multiplied by the bonus per unit, 30 discs times $1, $30. Total earnings, the basic pay plus the bonus. Okay, so 780 plus 30, we get $810. Any questions on worker B? Okay, a question for you colleagues. So if you are an employer, which one would you prefer to use? Time-based or piece rate? Now, as an employer, you'll be looking at trying to save costs, but also another thing you also be looking at is increase in productivity. That's why you're giving overtime, or that's why you're giving bonuses there. Okay, but which one would you choose as an employer? Mhm. Thank you. Thank you, madam. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, colleagues, both with both systems, you can still get productivity because even when you tell a worker overtime, they're going to want to put in more work and also produce extra units. Okay. So it just depends on what you're comfortable with. Determine the labor cost per unit of output for worker B. Okay, labor cost per unit. Okay, total labor cost over actual output. Okay, worker B's cost $810. His actual output 130 discs. So this is his labor cost per unit, $6.23. Any questions? Okay, briefly explain two advantages of piecework systems compared to time-based systems in manufacturing frames. Yes, colleagues, the floor is open for discussion. As I start getting ready to eat my supper, okay, since I've spoken a lot, I'm now feeling hungry. So, yes, colleagues, let me hear. Hmm. Yes, because under overtime, the worker can, during those overtime hours, they can waste time so that they get more overtime hours, right, colleagues? They say, no, we're working overtime, but you find they want to increase those hours so that they get more. No, idle time is where the workers can't work because something has broken down, so they're just sitting there in the factory. But there, yes, but there the worker is pretending to work extra hours. Okay. So the more extra hours they pretend to work, the more overtime they get. So, Madam Sylvia, yes, that is correct. Have you said it encourages high productivity? Mhm. Oh, I've even been the other one. Yes, colleagues, what's the other one? I hope no one saw that one. I hope nobody saw that one. Okay, then please explain that one. which says labor cost is linked to production. It's tied to this here. Within this labor cost per unit, a denominator, how much you actually produced. Yes.